The week my mother showed up at our door with a garbage bag full of clothes and red eyes, I thought my husband would at least pretend to care. She hadn't called ahead. That was my mom. She never wanted to be a burden until she physically couldn't carry it anymore. Her landlord had given her a 30-day notice 2 weeks earlier, and she'd spent those 2 weeks convincing herself she'd figure it out. She hadn't figured it out. So she drove 4 hours from Knoxville in a car with a check engine light that had been on since 2019, knocked on our door at 7:43 on a Tuesday night and said, "I'm sorry, baby, I didn't know where else to go." I pulled her inside before she finished the sentence. My husband, Garrett, was in the living room watching TV. He looked up, saw her, and I watched something flicker across his face. Not concern, not welcome. Something closer to calculation. He stood up, said, "Hey, Diane," and then walked into the kitchen to refill his drink. That was it. That was his greeting for a woman who had driven 4 hours with a garbage bag. I got my mom settled into the guest room. I made her soup. I sat on the edge of her bed while she cried a little and apologized a lot, the way she always did. Like taking up space was something she had to earn permission for. I told her she could stay as long as she needed. I meant it. Garrett waited until she was in the shower before he said anything. How long is she thinking? I was folding towels on the bed. I looked at him. She just got here. I know, I'm just asking. I don't know. A few weeks maybe. She needs to find a new place. He made a sound. Not a word, just a sound. The kind that means I don't like this but is designed to be deniable if you call it out. "She's my mom," I said. "I know she's your mom." She lost her apartment. I heard. "So what's the sound for?" He looked at me like I was being dramatic. "There's no sound. I just asked a question." That was how it always started with Garrett. Not with a fight. With a question, a sound, a look. Things that existed and then didn't exist when you tried to point at them. I'd been married to him for 4 years. I'd learned the language. The first few days were fine on the surface. My mom is not a difficult person to live with. She woke up early, made coffee, tried to stay out of the way. She'd start apologizing if she so much as left a glass on the wrong counter. I kept telling her to stop apologizing. She kept apologizing for apologizing. Garrett was quiet. That particular kind of quiet that has weight to it. By day 4, he started making comments. Not to my mom. He was never outright rude to her face. I'll give him that. But to me, in private, the commentary began. "She's been in the bathroom for 40 minutes. She used my coffee creamer again. Can you ask her not to watch TV so loud? Some of us have early meetings." Each one was small. Each one was technically not a big deal. But they were constant. And they were only ever about my mother. And Garrett had never once, not once in 4 years, made a comment like that about his own family. I know because his brother had stayed with us for 6 weeks 2 years ago after a job fell through in Nashville. 6 weeks. Garrett had called it good for family. He'd taken his brother out for beers, let him use his truck, told me we should make him feel at home. 6 weeks? My mother had been there 4 days, and Garrett was tracking her bathroom time. I didn't say any of this out loud. Not yet. I was still in the phase where I thought if I just managed it carefully enough, kept the peace, absorbed the friction, it would be okay. My mom started looking for apartments on her laptop at the kitchen table every morning. She had a notebook where she wrote down listings, prices, availability dates. She called about 3 places a week. The market in our area was brutal. She was on a fixed income from her part-time job at a florist and whatever she'd saved, which wasn't much. I offered to help with a deposit when the time came. She refused twice before accepting. Garrett noticed that conversation. "You're giving her money?" "For a deposit. When she finds a place." "That's how much are we talking?" "I don't know yet. Maybe 1,000, 1,500. He was quiet for a moment. "That's coming out of savings." "It's my savings too." "I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying we have things we're saving for. We were saving for a kitchen renovation. Granite countertops and new cabinet hardware. I want you to hold that in your mind." He was weighing granite countertops against my mother's housing deposit. I didn't say that either. I just said, "She's my mom, Garrett. I'm not going to let her be homeless while we renovate a kitchen." He dropped it. but it sat in the room with us for a long time after. The breaking point, or what I thought at the time was the breaking point, came on a Friday night. I'd made dinner, a real dinner, roast chicken and roasted vegetables, the kind of meal that takes effort. My mom had offered to help and I'd let her make the salad because it made her feel useful. We sat down, the three of us. Garrett was on his phone for most of the meal. My mom tried. She asked him about work, asked how his project was going, asked if he'd seen a particular news story she'd read. He gave her 1 or 2 word answers without looking up. At one point she said something about how good the chicken was and he said, and kept scrolling. I watched my mother's face. She smiled through it. She kept her voice warm. She did not let on that she noticed. Or maybe she'd already made peace with the fact that she wasn't welcome here and was just trying to get through dinner without making it worse. After she excused herself and went to her room, I stayed at the table. "What was that?" I said. Garrett looked up. "What? You were on your phone the entire dinner." "I was checking something for work." "You were on your phone while my mom tried to have a conversation with you. She talks a lot." Something went still inside me when he said that. Not cold, still. The way a room goes quiet before something breaks. "She talks a lot," I repeated. "I'm not trying to be mean. It's been a long week and I wanted to decompress and instead I'm at dinner making small talk. She's been here 2 weeks and you have barely said 20 words to her. I've been busy." "You're not busy right now. You're watching YouTube." He put the phone face down. "Can we not do this tonight? When would you like to do it?" He didn't answer. He picked up his plate, put it in the sink, and went to the bedroom. I sat at that table for a long time. I thought about my mom in the guest room, probably reading on her phone, probably feeling like she'd made things harder just by existing here. I thought about how she'd apologized 3 times that week for things that weren't her fault. I thought about Garrett's brother and his 6 weeks and his beer outings. I thought, I need to remember this. Whatever happens next, I need to remember exactly what this felt like. My mom found an apartment 6 weeks after she arrived. A 1-bedroom unit, about 20 minutes from us, affordable, decent neighborhood, available at the end of the month. She was so relieved when she told me that she cried a little. I helped her move. Garrett did not come. He had a thing that day, vague and unspecified. My uncle drove up from Chattanooga to help carry furniture. The day she left, Garrett seemed lighter, more talkative at dinner. He suggested we order pizza, said we should watch a movie, was generally warm in a way he hadn't been in weeks. I noticed. I filed it away. 3 months later, Garrett's mother called. She lived in Phoenix, his mom, Pamela, and I want to be fair and say she is not a bad person in the way that some mothers-in-law are bad. She doesn't interfere, she's not cruel. She has never said anything genuinely unkind to me. But she and Garrett are very close in that particular way, where her preferences carry a kind of invisible weight. When Pamela expresses a want, Garrett moves around it automatically, like orbit. Pamela wanted to come for Christmas, not for a few days, for 3 weeks. She'd been thinking about it for months, apparently. Had already looked at flights, wanted to spend real time with us over the holiday instead of just a long weekend. She wanted to cook her recipes in my kitchen. She wanted to go to local Christmas markets. She wanted to experience our life. Garrett told me about it over dinner, and the way he said it, calm, already decided, more announcement than conversation, told me everything. 3 weeks, I said. She doesn't get to see us much. 3 weeks is a long time. She's my mom. I looked at him across the table. Something passed between us, whether he felt it or not. "Okay," I said. He looked relieved. "She's excited. She already found a flight for the 18th. "Okay," I said again. I went to bed that night and I lay there in the dark and I thought about my mother driving 4 hours with a garbage bag. I thought about she talks a lot. I thought about the granite countertops. I thought about 6 weeks and 20 words and bathroom timing and coffee creamer. I thought about what I actually wanted to do. It took me until morning to decide. I waited 2 days, let the visit get a little more settled in the calendar. Then I told my best friend Audra what I was thinking. She listened, asked a few questions, and then said, "You know what, honestly? Good. I booked a hotel. Not a motel. A hotel." A nice one, the kind with a proper lobby and a gym and room service. It was about 12 minutes from our house, close enough to matter, far enough to be a statement. I booked it for the full 3 weeks, December 18th through January 7th. I used my own account, my own card, the money I'd been putting aside in the savings fund Garrett didn't know the full balance of. I didn't tell him right away. I let Pamela's arrival get closer. I let Garrett talk about the visit, what she wanted to see, what he was planning to cook, whether we should get a real tree this year. I participated in these conversations. I nodded. I offered suggestions. The week before she arrived, I started quietly moving things to the car. Not dramatically, just things I'd want. My good face wash, the sweater I wore every day, my book, my laptop, my charger. I did it in small trips over several days. On December 17th, the night before Pamela was due to land, I sat Garrett down. "I need to tell you something," I said. He looked up. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. I've made a reservation at the Alderton Hotel for the next 3 weeks. I'm going to stay there while your mom visits." He stared at me. "You're what?" "I've already packed. I'm going to head over tomorrow morning." What are you talking about?" "My mom is coming here to see us, both of us." "I know. So why would you leave?" I had thought about this conversation for 2 weeks. I'd rehearsed different versions of it. The version where I was calm and brief. The version where I explained everything. The version where I just left a note. What I actually said was this: when my mom needed a place to stay, she was here for 6 weeks. You tracked how long she was in the bathroom. You told me she talked too much. You were on your phone to every dinner. You made me feel like her presence in our home was an inconvenience I was imposing on you, and then when she left, you were visibly relieved. He opened his mouth. "I'm not finished," I said. "Your mom is coming for 3 weeks, and I genuinely hope you have a wonderful time with her. I hope you take her to the Christmas market and cook her recipes and show her around. I am not trying to take that from you. But I am not going to be here, accommodating a 3-week holiday visit from your family after the way you treated mine." Silence. Those are completely different situations," he said. "Your mom needed help. This is just a visit." "Yes," I said. "That's my point. My mom needed help, and you made her feel like a burden every single day. Your mom is coming for fun, for Christmas, for 3 weeks, and you expected me to make it perfect without any conversation about what I wanted. I was never mean to your mom. No. You were just completely absent. And you made me absorb all the discomforts so you didn't have to feel any." He looked at the table. His jaw moved. "I already made the reservation," I said. "It's done. I'll come to Christmas dinner if you want me to. We can figure that out. But I'm not going to be here." "This is insane," he said, but his voice had gone quiet in a way I recognized. The way it went quiet when he knew he didn't have the argument he thought he had. "I'll text you when I'm settled tomorrow," I said. "Tell your mom I said hello." Tell your mom I said hello." I went to bed. He didn't come to bed for a long time. I lay there in the dark, and I didn't feel triumphant exactly, and I didn't feel sad exactly. I felt like a person who had finally done the thing that matched what she actually believed, and that was a feeling I hadn't had in a while. In the morning, I put my last few things in the car. Garrett stood in the kitchen watching me. "You're really doing this," he said. "I am." "What am I supposed to tell her?" "Tell her whatever you want. Tell her I had a work thing. Tell her the truth. That's up to you." I picked up my keys. He said, I didn't know you felt that way about your mom's visit." I turned and looked at him. He seemed genuinely uncertain, the way he got when the ground shifted under him. "You knew," I said quietly. "You just didn't think I'd remember." I drove to the hotel with the heat on and my playlist from 2015 that I only listen to when I need to feel like myself. I checked in, took the elevator up, unlocked my room, and stood in the middle of it for a moment. Clean carpet, white duvet, window looking out at the city. I ordered room service that first night. French onion soup and a glass of wine and a piece of chocolate cake that I ate in bed watching a documentary about birds. My phone buzzed 3 times. I let it go to voicemail. Whatever Garrett needed to figure out, he had 3 weeks to do it. And for the first time in longer than I could track, I fell asleep without bracing for what the morning would bring. I've thought a lot about the moment Garrett said she talks a lot, not because it was the worst thing he ever said. It wasn't. But because it was the most honest. All the bathroom timing and the coffee creamer and the looks he thought I didn't notice, they were all the same sentence dressed up differently, and that one slipped out plain. What I've come to understand is that the way someone treats the people you love when there's nothing in it for them, that's the truest version of who they are. Garrett was never unkind to my mom when it might have cost him something socially. He was unkind in the small, invisible ways that are designed to be deniable. That takes a certain kind of intention, even if it's unconscious. And I had spent 4 years being a very willing witness to it, absorbing it, smoothing it over, translating it into something more bearable. That's on me too. I don't say that to be hard on myself. I say it because I think there's something important in recognizing where I handed my own clarity away. I kept thinking if I just held things together carefully enough, managed the friction well enough, it would even out. It didn't even out, it accumulated. And the person absorbing the accumulation was always me, and, in those 6 weeks, my mother. There's a kind of intelligence that isn't about being smart in the conventional sense. It's about being honest with yourself when something is wrong. Even when naming it would make everything harder, I was slow to develop that. I knew something was off with Garrett's behavior the first night my mom arrived. I felt it when he walked into the kitchen to refill his drink without a word. But knowing and naming are different things, and I kept choosing knowing without naming for a very long time. The hotel was the naming. It wasn't revenge, exactly, though I understand why people frame it that way. It was more like finally doing the thing that matched what I actually believed. I believe that a marriage should work the same direction for both people. I believe that whose mother is, whose shouldn't determine how much dignity that mother receives in your home. I believe that staying silent to keep the peace is still a choice, and eventually the cost of that choice lands somewhere. It landed in me. And one morning, I decided I was done paying it alone. What Garrett does with the 3 weeks, what Pamela thinks, what the next conversation looks like when I get home, I don't know yet. I'm not sure the outcome is the point. The point is that I did the thing that my gut had been asking me to do for longer than I'd like to admit. That took something. Not just courage in the dramatic sense, but the quieter, harder kind, the willingness to stop pretending you're fine with something you're not fine with, even when pretending would be so much easier. My mom drove 4 hours with a garbage bag because she didn't want to be a burden. I think about that a lot. I think about how the people who apologize the most for existing are usually the ones who deserve the most space. She deserved better than what she got in my house. I can't undo those 6 weeks. But I can stop letting the same logic run forward. The room service that first night was the best French onion soup I've ever had. That's probably not the profound ending the story deserves, but it's the true one.